Do I need a local business entity for my SaaS company to start selling in a new market? This is the question we'll try to address in this brief video. Hi, I'm Philip Lempa from Apex Virtual Selling, where we help companies sell more SaaS in Asia Pacific. So you either want to start selling or you are already selling a little bit of your SaaS product in a new market that is also a foreign country to you. So the question is, do you need a local business entity for your SaaS company in that market? So as it is often the case for such complex questions, the answer is it depends. However, more often than not, this is a step that you would be able to avoid, especially if you're just starting out and your scale is not huge in that particular new market. To grow there, you shouldn't need to open a local entity for a company right away. That being said, if you won't be opening that local entity, there is something very important you have to keep in mind, which I'll mention towards the end of the video. So there are certainly a couple of benefits to having your own local business entity for your company in that country that you're expanding into. You can employ people locally that are 100% your employees. You're able to contract with customers in that particular market as that local entity, which might make things a bit easier. Certainly will give that assurance if potential legal action is something for you or for the other party to consider. Also, you potentially have a bit more flexibility in terms of accepting payments from customers in that region, because you can open local bank accounts easily, maybe work with some payment methods that are unique to that particular market. However, it is worth mentioning that all of these benefits could be achieved by leveraging local partners on the ground, especially that depending on the country, opening a local entity for your company and subsequently opening things like bank accounts can be very costly, very lengthy, and potentially a big liability to you. So as you are just entering a market or you are trying to initially grow there, it would be advisable to potentially see if you can initially do that without having to go through all of that and form a local entity in that market. Especially that what I always like to use as a test is if you are trying to gain customers in a particular new market, and you might not necessarily be the easiest company to do business with. Of course, this cannot be extreme, but if perhaps you're not the easiest, but customers still want to choose your product, want to do business with you, that is a great sign for a potential fit for that market. That is, of course, not to say as you continue to grow, you of course want to make things as easy as possible to do business in that market with your company. However, as I mentioned at the start of the video, if you will not be having that local entity in that market where you are expanding into, where you're growing, and again, more likely than not, you will not need it at the start. You will, however, need to have one thing, and that is flexibility. So I've seen some companies say, okay, we will not do that local entity. We'll just use the infrastructure, the resources in our HQ market, in our main market, and we'll just utilize all of that to try to grow in that new international market and get customers there. But at the same time, they wouldn't allow for any flexibility within that infrastructure, those resources coming from their main market, from the HQ. So for instance, they would insist on using exactly same contract, no, there cannot be any changes, even if their customer requested in that new market, for things like legal jurisdiction and etc. And that is a recipe for not selling a lot in that new international market. So it is very important to have a degree of flexibility there, because realistically, you'll be facing competition that either is flexible or maybe has those resources on the ground. So you don't want to be the worst of both worlds and have neither. As always, I hope this was helpful. If you have any feedback for us, definitely give us some interaction wherever you're watching this or listening to this. And if you need help growing your SaaS business in Asia Pacific, don't hesitate to reach out to us.